Much like the central premise behind Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, I feel like my shifting attitude toward COD is a result of a CIA psyop. I can't even bring myself to dislike it anymore. Are these even my own thoughts, Activision? Or have you subliminally implanted them over the years of COD releases? Brainwashing aside, Call of Duty has become the Tom Clancy novel of video games, which is a bit ironic since there's already a bunch of games bearing Tom Clancy's name on them. But Ubisoft never really nailed the subject matter of them outside of Splinter Cell, and that series could only be more dead if Konami owned it and they turned it into a pachinko machine. Call of Duty rightly wears the crown of the game your dad or granddad will one day place on a shelf and look fondly at whenever the world gets too confusing for them. This is a series, after all, that boils all international threats down to a stolen nuke and some Russians. Is there any unique criticism one can even levy at COD anymore? It's a mostly competent shooter with a variety of gameplay modes for multiplayer and a 6-hour campaign for weirdos who actually like that sort of thing. Even when it's bad, it doesn't really stick around long enough to stink up the place. And it's quite easy to shove out the door since it's a bit anemic and weighs less than an uneaten pizza crust. Every new COD game is a change in setting rather than refinement of the gameplay. What was the biggest change to COD in the past few years again? Battle Royale. See my point? And it's refined its core mechanics so much and all the easy gains have been made. The only thing I can do at this point is damn it with faint praise. So here's a video where I lazily smack a game's cheek, then walk away and barely remember it once I've stopped looking at it. Eventually, COD games will be like the deck of playing cards your Alzheimer's-ridden grandfather endlessly shuffles in his lap. We're all just sitting around looking at it with sad faces and waiting for it to die. Can you guess who the villain of Cold War is? If you answered a rogue Russian intelligence operative with an assortment of terrorist stereotype friends, you were right. Far be it from me to expect some actual Cold War intrigue instead of yet again gunning down terrorists and former Russian military operatives that the Soviet government couldn't care less about. Metal Gear Solid 3 was a better take in the Cold War, and that game had a man who shot bees at you.
Some U.S. intelligence analysts believe America is already in a state of war with the Soviet Union.
Are Soviet spies living among us?
52 American citizens have been taken hostage at the American Embassy in Tehran.
An unnamed White House official claims that a Cold War disaster could be just around the corner.
Activision is trying real hard to make the 80s seem like the world was on the edge of a knife. But by this point, the Soviet Union was already in steep decline, and America was too distracted by a booming economy based on deficit spending to care. Activision didn't release Barnstorming until 1982, while this game is set in 1981. Several of the arcade games you can play in COD Black Ops shouldn't exist at the time. While laser sights did exist in the 1980s, they were gigantic in size, yet the laser sights attached to these guns are tiny and modern looking.
Americans have rules! You have rules!
You took hostages. The rules changed.
Adler was given the mission of finding and killing Arash after he carried out a terrorist attack and took hostages. But Arash is also working for Perseus to carry out his plan to destroy the West in one fell swoop. Why bother with a terrorist attack and the attention that would bring to you when you were already neck deep in a nuclear plot?
Wait, he's in Turkey! He's meeting someone in Trabzon airfield tomorrow night!
Interrogating Kasim about Arash gets the information they need to find him. For some reason, they abandon this tried and tested method of getting intelligence in favor of drug brainwashing right after this for a plot twist. It always impresses me when terrorist leaders can keep the loyalty of the rest of their men when they shoot and kill several of them in plain sight of the rest. An explosive RC drone is a weird piece of kit to bring on a mission where your plan was to snipe a man on an airfield. If you anticipated having to disable a plane trying to take off, there were more efficient weapons to bring with you. And this is before the era of live video streams. So Mason had to steer that RC drone from his own perspective from the back of a moving jeep while other jeeps full of terrorists took shots at him.
His plan is already underway. You won't be able to stop him this time. Stop who? Perseus.
Bullshit. Perseus is dead.
Dead? All this time and you didn't even know.
And they probably wouldn't have had you not run your mouth and mentioned Perseus.
Perseus will watch the West.
Hudson will want to hear about this.
I'm sure Hudson will want to hear about it. He probably would have liked to interrogate Arash about it since he seemed so willing to brag about it and know the details of the plan. Considering the twist of this game, questioning Arash would have been far simpler than finding one of Arash's men that he shot, then brainwashing him to believe he's someone else to get the same intel you could have gotten from Arash.
1943. Detailed information from the Manhattan Project was stolen from Los Alamos by the Russian spy known as Perseus. 1968. Vietnam War. Viet Cong soldiers, orchestrated by Perseus, attempted to steal an American-made nuclear bomb from a U.S. firebase.
That's a major rewriting of history to add a larger perceived threat to the main villain. A main villain that we never encountered during the game, mind you.
Perseus. The CIA's analysts consider him to be the single largest threat to the free world.
not the Soviet Union themselves, just this one rogue agent, who they believe was dead until just a few days ago. But Perseus is the greatest threat to the free world based off the bragging of one dead terrorist.
Mr. President, this is Jason Hudson and Russell Adams.
I know their names.
I don't think Mason should be allowed anywhere near President Reagan. It's strongly implied in the previous Black Ops game that he assassinated President Kennedy when he was a sleeper agent for Dragovich.
We're talking about preventing an attack on the free men and women of the world. Give Mr. Adler whatever he wants.
I liked Reagan's first appearance in video games better when he offered to buy you a burger after rescuing him from ninjas.
Is the threat real?
Yes, sir, we believe it is.
Do you actually know there's going to be an attack? All you have is the vague words of a dead terrorist to go on. Bragging about destroying the West is almost a verbal tick in that crowd.
There is no higher duty. There is no higher honor. And while few people will know of your struggles, rest assured, the entire free world will benefit.
Now go do America proud by brainwashing a terrorist with drugs and making him do your job for you. I had no idea the CIA of the 80s and the Reagan administration was so progressive and allowed agents to select non-binary as their gender. In between missions, you get to walk around a Safehouse set inside a mechanic shop and get to know the rest of the characters. It's hardly groundbreaking, but I'll take it over the character building ways of Call of Duty yore, where every level would have you walk 3 steps behind the older and wiser character as he called out every enemy, opened every door, and placed cushions on all the sharp edges in case you fell and injured yourself. It still does that, of course, but at least after that, I know I can come back to base and pretend like I'm interested in playing Pitfall on the arcade machine while the rest of the cast talk in huddle groups with each other about their past. I know the game is set in the 80s, but would a bunch of CIA Black Ops members keep Reagan's inauguration on repeat on the TV? Since the CIA has come up with no leads on Perseus, Adler relies on Bell's memories of a mission in Vietnam when they first made contact with Perseus as he tried to steal a nuclear weapon from a US base. These are actually false memories implanted by Adler. Bell was never in Vietnam. Adler used his own experiences in Vietnam as part of Bell's programming to track Perseus, but Perseus does end up stealing a nuclear weapon from the US during this game, which Adler and the CIA had no idea of, so I guess Adler got really lucky that he picked these details for Bell's programming.
Mission accomplished. We have the intel. Let's bug out.
The whole point of the memory exercise was to get Bell to recall finding the folder full of Soviet intel, making Bell recall retrieving a nuclear weapon from an American base, only to have their helicopter shot out of the sky so they have to hold off a wave of Viet Cong serves no purpose. It should have ended when Bell opened the red door and found the intel. At this point, Adler has no idea that Perseus is going to use nukes of the same design as the one in his fake memory.
How did the memory exercise go?
Well, to hear it from Adler, it's working. Bell remembered finding that encrypted intel in Vietnam and is almost finished decoding it.
Why would these CIA operatives on the phone talking on a secure line about the operation play along with the act Adler has set up for Bell? Adler brought Bell along in this undercover mission to apprehend Volkov. Bell knew this guy because they both work for Perseus. Shouldn't Adler have been concerned that seeing him might break Bell's brainwashing? Or that they might recognize Bell and ruin the mission when they were still undercover? Adler only needs Bell for information. He doesn't need to risk losing his only source of info on Perseus by bringing him along on the operations.
Perseus has a large bounty on your head.
Why would Perseus have a large bounty on Bell's head? This is his first mission working against them, and if Volkov is referring to Bell's original identity, then they likely would have assumed him dead or in a CIA prison. There's a bit of an issue when you fill a room with smoke grenades and waltz in without a mask on yourself. Had that MP5 tucked into your tight acid-washed pants, did you? Volkov fails to escape because he can't figure out how to unlock a door from the inside.
Information from Volkov confirms their worst fears. Perseus smuggled a nuclear device through East Berlin.
You mean you can just interrogate people for information rather than filling them with mind-altering drugs and brainwashing them into believing there is someone else in a roundabout method of getting info out of them?
We found encrypted geo-coordinates with Volkov's nuclear intel. An unpopulated region within the Soviet Republic of Ukraine.
The next mission sends Bell to a building in Ukraine which serves as a Spetsnaz training facility modeled on Anytown, USA. None of this seems to have much to do with Perseus and the stolen nuke until they shoehorn it in at the very end. I don't believe even a clandestine CIA operation would approve sending 2 men to break into a Soviet training facility with no idea what they're looking for. That's hardly worth risking an international crisis over after they kill scores of Soviet Spetsnaz.
Welcome to the Soviet People's Warfare Analysis Archive.
Good thing there are only 3 files total in this Soviet computer system, which has voice synthesis in English of all things. And why would a training center of all places have files on Operation Greenlight and TAT phone calls between Adler's CIA handlers? Keeping your password right on the desk of a government computer storing secret files has to come up in someone's investigation report. That's gotta be a trip to the gulag. The Russian files are written in English as well.
The asset learns the truth. You're worried about truth now? I'm concerned about control.
Voice synthesis, fast computers, and lossless uncompressed audio files you can actually make out. Soviets were just that far ahead of the West in computer technology in 1981. And just like that, they ride out the massive Soviet training base after shooting it up and no one tries to stop them.
That's what you do best, isn't it, Hudson? Manipulate people. Tell them your own version of the truth.
There is no truth. Only who you choose to believe. Adler knows all about that. Don't you, Russ?
The game tries to set up its theme before the big twist so you'll think back to this moment and go, oh, they were hinting at that. But I honestly forgot about this moment until I reviewed my footage. None of the plot ever hit hard enough to make it stick around in my head.
Back in '58, the arms race was in full swing. Eisenhower was convinced if the Reds moved on Europe, we couldn't respond quick enough. So he authorized Operation Greenlight, a top-secret program that placed nuclear bombs in every major European city. The ultimate countermeasure to a Soviet invasion.
And those European nations were okay with that? Why would the US need to stick nukes in cities inside France and the UK when those are nations armed with their own nuclear deterrent to prevent invasions?
74 of the bombs were upgraded to high-yield neutron bombs, capable of terminating personnel without damaging infrastructure.
Not true. A neutron bomb requires a small nuclear detonation that would still be quite destructive in the middle of a city, just not as destructive as a regular nuke.
Anything else in that printout Bell and Woods pulled from the base?
There's mention of an excavation taking place in the Ural Mountains, Yamantau. Our insider within the KGB confirmed an active operation.
Yamantau. I thought Hudson and Weaver buried that place years ago.
The next mission sends you back to a location from a previous Black Ops game to acquire a mainframe that Perseus wants. Maybe this level is very popular in the Call of Duty fanbase, but I saw nothing special about it. This isn't exactly Pripyat. Losing one weapon in a cutscene means you lose all of your weapons.
I've only 1 hour of fuel. So after that, you'll find yourself a new ride.
Wood's Russian friend Dmitry stated at the start of the mission that he only had 1 hour of fuel left, but that was 1 hour of fuel left under normal weight capacity. How far is he realistically going to be able to fly carrying a massive computer mainframe?
We finished analyzing that mainframe that Mason and Woods brought from Yamantau.
And?
Perseus was looking for the names of sleeper agents Dragovich used in '68.
Give us those names. We'll get Adler's team to track them down.
Perseus erased them.
So Perseus got his hands on this mainframe, erased the list of sleeper agents from it, then didn't destroy the mainframe once he had no further use of it?
Are you taking him into the KGB with you? Are you crazy? Wait for Mason or Woods to return.
I don't need Mason or Woods. I need Bell. He's got the skill we need.
Hudson makes an excellent point. Taking Bell into the KGB's headquarters to retrieve the sleeper cell list is not only stupid, it's deranged. Anyone there might recognize him. There is zero reason to bring Bell along over someone else.
The Lubyanka building, KGB headquarters in Moscow. The sleeper agent records are stored in the archives 100 feet below ground in a nuclear defense command bunker.
If you're taking on the suicidal task of sneaking into the very heart of the KGB, where they keep their most classified secrets, you might as well grab a bit more than the list of sleeper agent names. This opportunity isn't going to happen again. Appearing in a Call of Duty game has to be Gorbachev's most shameful moment, and this is the guy who lost the Cold War, let the Soviet Union collapse under his watch, and then starred in a Pizza Hut commercial.
If you've not met him already, this is Imran Zakayev.
I get the feeling that Call of Duty believes its characters and locations are more iconic than they actually are. During the meeting, they discuss a potential traitor within the KGB. At no point is the massacre of Soviet troops from the training center brought up, nor the attack on the Ural mountain base where more men were killed and a mainframe stolen, or how Dmitry was suspiciously absent during that event. I think an underground access route into KGB headquarters would be considered a pretty huge security flaw. You can add shooting up the KGB headquarters to the list of acts of war that this team has now committed. This would be more consequential than the opening of Modern Warfare 2's No Russia mission. I just love how everyone can pull a large gun out of their ass and hand it over to someone. It's a canon explanation for how first-person characters store so many weapons on themselves. Wearing Mosca helmets brings the "all I know is that I must kill" meme into focus, and that meme accurately explains the plot of every COD game, but even more so for this game, since we aren't playing as someone who doesn't know who they are or what they're really doing. How many times does COD make use of the scene where the player straps on a belt-fed assault weapon and body armor that allows them to cut through enemies with no danger to themselves? Do the same scenarios never feel played out among COD fans? According to this game, 3 men can shoot their way out of KGB headquarters in the middle of Moscow, where General Secretary Gorbachev was currently at no less, and through the streets of Moscow and out of the country with ease.
Turns out, one of those sleeper agents is tied to Operation Greenlight. Theodore Hastings. He's a nuclear engineer based out of Salt Lake City.
And you believe Hastings is the one he'll activate?
Exactly. Total surveillance is already underway. It's only a matter of time before he leads us straight to Perseus.
Or you could just arrest the sleeper agent before he's activated by Perseus and stop Perseus' plan cold. There can only be one reason why Perseus would need someone who was involved with Project Greenlight, and that's to arm the nuke he stole from West Germany. Perseus has never even met this guy. Arrest him and send someone else in his place as a mole. At the very least, detain him once you've figured out he's headed for Cuba.
Perseus would never leave his precious nuke behind.
He forced us to reverse engineer the detonation codes. They give him full access to Greenlight.
What? Are you telling me Perseus can detonate multiple nukes in Europe?
I'm so sorry.
Hastings, stay with us. How many Greenlight devices can Perseus detonate with those codes?
He can detonate all of them.
Nuclear detonation codes are not stored on the bomb they detonate for reasons just like this. The US has a lot of safety protocols in place that ensure a nuke isn't used unless the president wants one used. All of the codes for calling in a nuclear strike are kept in the nuclear football, and I'd have to assume Project Greenlight nukes are kept there as well. And even if this wasn't the case, couldn't the US take those nukes offline the moment they learn that Perseus plans to detonate all of them remotely using the code? I know the stakes have changed, but Adler's team leaves the nuke Perseus stole here in the hands of Castro. They can at least destroy it to be sure it wouldn't be used.
I just know that Perseus doesn't have a single fucking nuke. He's got dozens.
Millions of people are gonna die, and the United States will take the blame.
You could disarm the nukes while you still have time, you know. I assume the nukes are kept in guarded facilities hidden somewhere in each city. Disable whatever allows them to pick up a radio signal and it's a done deal. Wire a few of the US's neutron bombs inside Soviet Union satellite states like Warsaw, Poland, and Czechoslovakia. The US was asking for this to go south. I also want to point out just how stupid Operation Greenlight is again. The idea being that Eisenhower didn't think the US could stop a Soviet invasion of Western Europe. So to counter this, he ordered neutron bombs placed in all the major cities throughout Europe. These bombs would detonate and kill everyone in the city, which would mostly be innocent people and the defending soldiers, but would leave the cities intact, meaning all that would have happened is the US would have killed all their allies and left all the infrastructure behind for the Soviets to use once they rolled into empty cities.
You need to find out where he's planning to broadcast the activation signal.
How are we gonna pull that out of our ass?
Bell knows where it is.
Since they don't know where Perseus plans to broadcast the detonation signal from, they have to go back into Bell's head since he does, which means he knew Perseus' plan to detonate the Greenlight nukes in Europe all along. And they could have learned this ages ago had they went ahead and probed for these memories instead of looking for people connected to Perseus and following the trail up the chain. Bell was actually one of the two people inside the Jeep that Ross shot back at the airfield. Adler and his team found him alive and brainwashed him to believe he'd been with Adler in Vietnam when they encountered Perseus. This was done to disguise the source of Bell's memories and knowledge of Perseus. When they originally brainwashed Bell, it would have made far more sense to get everything Bell knew about Perseus, then go about stopping him without including Bell, who would be the biggest risk you could ever imagine. Even after learning the truth, Adler still lets Bell go with him on the final mission despite the risk of Bell turning on them, which to the game's credit, it does give you the choice to do that. At least when BioShock played this card, it really sprung it on you, and it possessed narrative weight since it was commentary on the nature of what it means to play a video game and give up agency to do what others tell you to do. Activision almost got the Jacob's Ladder ripoff past me, but then they included a scene of Adler's head vibrating just like in the movie.
Bell, I realize you probably hate us right now, what we've done to you. I just need you to fully understand the stakes here. What you do right now is not about me, it's not about you, it's about millions of other fucking people. It's about stopping someone who, in the end, has no true allegiance to anyone other than himself. So tell me, where is Perseus?
So now regular interrogation and appealing to a person's better nature works when it didn't originally? Bell choosing out of free will to tell them the location now makes all the brainwashing pointless. How this series has managed to make every final level as easy and quick as a tutorial level in other games is beyond me. Since Adler plans to kill Bell to tie up a loose end, he could have just left him buried in the rubble instead of going back for him. Seems like a waste of time to me. Since Perseus is still alive, Bell might still be valuable for finding him. Perseus still has Greenlight detonation codes after all. All that was destroyed were some radio towers Perseus was using to broadcast from. He could still detonate them from somewhere else, so maybe killing Bell is a bit hasty.
Ronald Reagan, the actor?